Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Kris, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, welcome back. Welcome to the podcast. Today, Wes, we have a very special guest, Kris Livovich from Sugarfield Flowers. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you on. So you are a florist.
Yes.
For people at home listening, what was involved in that? Do you do weddings? Do you do stuff besides weddings? What are kind of the scope of your services?
Yeah, so I'm a wedding and event florist, which means I focus on weddings and parties, basically. Things like, bar mitzvahs, communions, those types of things. I am not a retail florist like your local flower shop that you would walk in and order a bouquet for your grandma. That's not me. I find that they are two very different beasts. Like weddings require a lot of build-up, a lot of work on weekends, and retail requires planning ahead for holidays, for is it going to snow? Is it going to be a weird Monday? Do we have a bank holiday? So they're just two different types of planning, and I find it very difficult to manage both. So I do weddings.
Okay. So if I'm in an emergency on Valentine's Day and I need flowers for my wife, I shouldn't text you or call you because that's not, I should have planned ahead.
Well, I hate to say it, but yes, like I do my best for people and especially friends or people that I know. Of course, I want to do flowers for them, but sometimes I just don't have the flowers. Yeah. And if that's the case, then usually I would send you to somebody that I trust. There's a lot of other florists that do beautiful day-to-day work, and it's just not what I do.
And so is it, I don't know what the term is. Is it, people say real and fake. I don't know if those are the terms.
Yeah.
Do you do both? Do you do one, do the other?
Yeah, so real and fake. So fake, I would call it like artificial flowers.
Artificial,
or,
okay.
Silk, people say. But I do all fresh, all real flowers.
Real flowers,
yeah.
Okay.
I might pop in a stem or two of something that's really difficult to source fresh, or I'm worried it's going to wilt. But I'd say 99% of everything I do is fresh flowers.
So that was kind of my next question: is do you grow your own? I can't even imagine how that would look.
Oh, I wish I did.
That's part of the fun, but that was years. I mean, that would be to have a supply.
Oh, yeah,
that would be insane. You'd have to have farms and farms of.
And you know what? I buy from a lot of local farms, and I see how hard my farmer friends work, and I don't want to work that hard. Like it is harder work than being a florist. And then you put both of them together, it's impossible. So no, I don't grow my own. I have a big yard, and I do grow just some little interesting bits and bobs that I'll cut, but it's really just enough to dress up a bridal bouquet. It's not enough for a full wedding.
Gotcha. So there's a part of the ordering, purchasing.
Yes.
And then, so that's one piece of it. And then the other piece, of course, is like organizing it, decorating it, preparing it.
Yeah. So I actually spent a couple hours this morning planning because we have a big 3-wedding weekend coming up on the 13th. So you need to know everything you're making, and then I write out recipes for everything I'm making. So I'm going to have 2 of this, 3 of that, 7 of the other in whatever arrangement. You collate everything. I bring together my list from all 3 weddings. Thankfully, they're kind of similar in colors. So then I reach out to my local farmers with what they grow, and I order my bits there. I order from the wholesaler with things that'll come in from California, Miami. And then my last piece of the puzzle are things that come from Holland. So you just spend a couple hours putting together endless lists, checking boxes, checking off, did I order all those roses? Was I supposed to? And yeah, it's a lot of planning.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of details that are really important to be on top of. And a recipe, I mean, think about like exact. Yeah, that's a really good term for it.
Well, recipes easier because while it is an art form, I think a lot of it, like even DJing. DJing, it is an art form to read the room, to see what people want, to understand the party. But you also, if you don't have a system in place, like if you don't know that, hey, if they don't really like this song, we're going to switch to that song. And that's how it is for me. Like if I have a recipe in place and a certain flower comes in bad, I can very quickly switch to a different flower. Or if one thing's not available, I can buy a different thing.
And that, I mean, that sounds like that comes from experience and
Yes.
knowledge. And we call it an art and a science.
It is. It
'Cause
is.
There is a literal science to getting people dancing and keeping them dancing. And then, of course, there's an art to it, too.
It is, yeah.
And so it sounds like it's a very similar thing in that way. Yeah. How did you get into this?
I have loved flowers forever. Like for my entire life have been flowers, flowers, flowers. Growing up with flowers, I was always cutting things, always picking things. And really, when I turned 18, I started working at a flower shop in Chicago. And just within the first 2 days, I was like, this is what I'm doing rest of my life, flowers. And that shop was really fantastic and encouraging me. They sent me to there used to be a flower school in Chicago that did like week-long courses. But so much of it is just constantly learning on my own. You know, there's always courses, videos, things like that. And then just working. Like you learn so much from working. So I've been doing flowers since I was 18. So that's over 25 years ago. So It's been a while.
That's awesome. What are some of the things you enjoy kind of most about it?
I love just varieties, all the varieties and textures. And I love people's faces when they get beautiful flowers. And I love being able to read what they like, because not everybody likes the same thing.
Yeah. So
I like having learned enough to choose something so that I know this person is going to love this bouquet. You know, I'll remember what they liked or what they didn't like or what the vibe was, and bring it all together so that it's something beautiful I can present to them. And and just even like watching things grow, my tiny garden, being able to see everything progress from seed all the way to something that I'm cutting and putting in my table. It really is just beautiful. It's just endless art.
I love that. In DJing, we have a similar thing where a great DJ plays a song that the crowd didn't know they wanted to hear.
Right.
And lately with my assistants, I'll be like, when I see a song hit big, and especially when I knew that the reason that's hitting big is because of something I'm doing. And it's not, I was like, was this on their list? And I know it wasn't. And it's like, no. And I'm trying to get them to take notice that we created that moment using the clues that were there. We read the room, we read the vibe, we knew what the couple wanted, we learned what the crowd wanted, and we were to deliver a song in a way and create a moment in a way that is, you look for the look on their faces. They're having an amazing time. They're really enjoying it. They're awestruck by the beauty of the flowers. And it comes from the experience, but also that's what you learn to enjoy about the work, is you're always going for that thing.
And in DJing, do you find like it helps you? I know for me, it helps me to know what they don't like.
Yes, yeah.
Almost more than what they do like.
Yeah.
Like I always tell brides, like send me pictures of things, and just if you hate something, tell me, because then I can look at that and be like, oh, she hates spiky orange flower. You know, like spiky things.
Yes.
We're not going to put spiky stuff in there. And and then knowing what they don't like it makes it way easier.
Yeah. I'll learn what they do like. I'll definitely learn what they don't.
Oh, yeah, we're going to learn
But
that.
I prefer going in to avoid that because you have a limited time.
Right.
That I can only play so many songs, and I want all of them to be a banger, the top hit.
Right.
I want all of them to be filling the floor.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste time on something that you're not interested in, that your guests aren't interested in. Mm-hmm. And it helps going in if I know these are our don't plays. These are the ones we don't want. And I find, most couples are so sweet. They don't want to tell you what we trust you. Okay.
We trust you, but that's a terrible song.
Right. And so I tell them, we're flexible all the time. We make changes. Tell me what you don't want. I won't play it. But also, if I play something, you're like, oh, I should have told him that I didn't want this. Come up and tell me.
Yeah.
I'll cut out of it,
Yeah, because you can find the theme. Like they may give you 5 different songs, or for me, 5 different flowers that don't have anything to do with each other, but because of your experience and your expertise, you can find the theme between those 5 and know, oh, we're going to stay away from, this beat or this style.
Yes.
And that's how it works with flowers. When I find the theme of what they don't like, and that really helps me dive into what they do like.
Yes. I can't play Bruno Mars.
I
have to substitute,
Yeah, well, I understand it.
He's out of season right now, you gotta.
Because like I can belt out very specifically the Air Supply Greatest Hits album.
Yes.
I don't want any other Air Supply.
Yes.
And I don't want Yacht Rock.
Yeah.
I just want the Air Supply Greatest Hits album.
I would love to have you as a client, because just to tell me that, because I would immediately go into Yacht Rock, right?
Yeah,
I would,
yeah.
Air Supply. Oh, they're gonna love Hall & Notes. They're gonna
Right.
love, yeah.
Nope, no Hall & Notes. Yeah, I know, it's so weird.
Just going through the list. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
just finding the thing people don't like, then you know exactly where to go.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What are the challenges about working in this industry, working with flowers, working with couples, working with venues, everything?
Well, challenges, just flowers itself, is we're trying, so on the wedding day, this is the difference between event work and retail work. So retail, like, delivering birthday flowers, you want those to last for a week, hopefully a week and a half. You want it to be opening up on their kitchen table. Wedding flowers, we want them fully open at their peak on the wedding day, which means they're almost heading towards dying, because they're at their very best that day for the pictures. So I'm not guaranteeing, these are going to last 2 weeks after your wedding, because they're at their top on wedding day. So it's just kind of planning what comes in for a Saturday wedding, what comes in Monday, what comes in Wednesday, what comes in Friday, because they all have different open periods. So it's just, I don't think people realize that it takes work the whole week before, planning all those different things and processing everything. Another difficulty is weddings are, they are a luxury item. Like they really are. You can get away with a wedding just having candles on your table. Like you don't need, well, I think you need flowers.
Yes.
But
yes.
People would say you don't need flowers. So it's difficult if you have a couple who feels forced to get flowers and they don't really care about it. Then I think they don't want me as their florist. So I think with my end of a wedding, the couple should think, what is most important to us on this day? Like, is the bridal bouquet the most important and the rest of it can just be pretty? Then that's great. I don't want to talk people into things that they don't want.
Yes.
But I also don't want to feel like, anyone could do this.
Yes.
We could get a trained monkey. We could go to Strax. Like, it's great. And Strax really does have a good floral department. So if you're not looking for Sugarfield, you can go to Strax and you'll have a beautiful wedding. Yeah. It's just going to be two different things.
Yes. Yeah. To me, I'll work with anybody and everybody, but I really have ideal clients that I want to work with that see the value in who I am, what I do, and the outcome I can give. And there's people, like you said, who they're never going to see that. And they don't want to see it, and it's not important to them. And that's not my ideal client. I'll work with them if they want to. They're looking for a DJ. Sometimes I sit down, they're like, we don't like to dance. The groom's family is Amish. They're going to leave as soon as you play music. Yep. And that's happened. I know. And to me, and I'm like, it's going to be, it's October and it's going to be freezing cold outside, and our whole wedding's outside. Yep. Throw a great dance floor. We want a full floor all night, but we don't really like dancing. I'm like, okay.
Nobody will be dancing.
Yes. And what music do you guys like? We don't like music.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And you're hiring a DJ because sounds like you don't need a DJ.
Right.
Plug in a phone if you want some songs. You know?
Yeah. And you don't want to tell people like, then I don't want don't hire me.
Right.
But it's also like, I don't want you to be upset that you spent all this money on something that you don't care about.
Yes.
So I think couples should really talk about what they value. Do they value a good dance floor? Do they value decor? What are the values? Put your money in that. And then the things that you value less, go a little less.
Save the money on that. Yeah.
It's totally fine. I think my biggest pet peeve that I get a lot is people tell me, flowers, it's just for one day. They're just going to die. I'm like, well, the entire day, like it's all just for one day. The food is just for one day. The music is just one day. Like it's all one day. If you're looking to make like this incredible lasting investment, then put a down payment on a house.
Yes.
Your wedding, your marriage is the lasting investment. The party is truly one day.
Yeah.
So just what do you value about that one day and put the money in it.
Yes.
And it's okay if it's not flowers.
Yeah.
But just don't tell me it's just for one day.
Right?
Because I do care.
I mean, when you parse it out enough, I'm playing songs that have been played before.
Yeah.
At weddings. They're definitely not my original songs.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this has been played before. Well, most songs at weddings have been played before.
Right.
Yeah.
But
if you parse that down, well, is it really worth it? Well, you tell me. You're celebrating with your family and friends.
Right.
They're going to want to hear stuff they've heard before that's familiar, that they can relax and celebrate and sing the words to.
Yeah.
They don't want a new performance at your wedding, right?
Yep.
And so, the music's already dead before you arrived.
Right.
But what's unique is this couple's getting married today.
Yeah.
This is the only day that's happening. Mm-hmm. And unless there's a recommit ceremony or something, then this is it. And this is the day that we're coming together to celebrate them uniting and make memories through that celebration. And to me, that's why people kind of spare no expense. That's why there's a premium, because you're going to show up and have a bad time. You're going to show up and it's going to be dull, and you want it to be the biggest, the most beautiful, the most fun. That's why there's kind of this, like, to me, there's this balancing act between excess and we're on a budget and we want to,
Right. Well, and I try to tell couples, like, think of what you spend on throwing a party for like 15 friends. You're having 15 friends over. What are you buying food-wise? Are you doing decorations? Now you're having 250 friends. So you're multiplying that, and it's impossible. Anything times 250 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if we truly are worried about that, we're going to have to cut everything down. But if we're worried about having this wonderful party, then we're just going to have to embrace it and be part of it. But I think what I love about the flowers is just like, it's ephemeral. The whole reason flowers exist is they don't last forever. They're just beautiful for a short period of time. And it makes them that much more special. I think even when you were saying about like music, it's been played before. Like music has lasted for how many centuries?
Yeah.
And we have not been able to record it for how many centuries? Like people would gather just to hear that one person play the harpsichord, and you may never hear that song ever again in your life. And yet it was worth it. Like it was worth the travel. It was worth whatever the ticket cost was. So that's what I think about weddings too, is like we're all gathering for this one beautiful moment that hopefully never happens again for this couple. They will be married, and we're witnessing the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So
both those things are in our DNA. I mean, as visual creatures, we're attracted to light and beauty and color.
Yeah.
It's a must. It's part of what makes us human. Mm-hmm. And same with rhythm or movement. Before we were banging sticks together, hit bunking rocks together, and singing songs that rhymed, that had a rhythm and a feel to it. And the same thing with beauty. We've decorated our homes and made everything, our living space, as beautiful as possible. And we're celebrating, we're uniting two tribes into one, uniting our forces, and we want it to be the biggest, most beautiful day ever.
Yeah, it should be.
That's, it's crazy when you start to think about it.
I know.
And kind of cool that we're attached to that. The flowers, when they come in, this is just, I just don't know much about this at all. So I'm curious, do you have to take care of them? Do you have to water, feed them, sunlight? Is there a whole process to that too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So everything is shipped in, or I pick up, and we process it. So the hyper local stuff that I buy from local farms, that is cut, placed in buckets of water, delivered to me super fresh. Like it was cut the day before.
Wow. And
it's just in incredible shape. Things that come like from Holland or Miami, they've been cut and dry packed, it's called. So they're just out of water for up to 2 weeks. Like flowers, they're delicate but also sturdy. So they've been out of water. So when things come in, I need to process them by just removing any kind of plastic or cardboard that could mold. We're going to remove leaves that'll mold, and then I'll be cutting everything and putting it into flower food, water with food. And basically at that point, I'm keeping them out of sun and out of heat, but warm enough so that they can open and bloom. And once they've hit the bloom point that I want, we'll be tucking them into a cooler, so that kind of holds them in
freeze
cold
that
storage.
process.
Yeah. So the cooler's at about 40 degrees, and it just essentially stops any extra blooming and hardens the flowers off, makes them a little more sturdy, so that day of they last longer. So, yeah.
There's
it's
so
a
many
week-long process.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to plan for that every weekend with your. So, like, say you did a wedding this past weekend. That was a weekend you were prepping for in advance,
right?
And then the next weekend it's the same thing. So you're always kind of doing this process of ordering, planning, cutting, trimming. Getting it to exactly where you want it and cooling it, and then we got to go set it up and deliver it. And
and you always need to order. The wholesale houses want us to order at least 3 weeks out. So I'm ordering, 3 weeks before the wedding.
They have their rules about if you want.
Just to source things. So I'm ordering some things 3 weeks ahead of time, some 2 weeks, some 1 week. So you have this whole list of what gets ordered when, and then it all arrives in the same time period, and you just go at it. So like if you just have one wedding on a weekend, you might get all the flowers in on a Wednesday and let them out and then make everything on Friday for a Saturday wedding. But if you have 3 weddings, you're just pushing that time schedule up because you need, 3 times the amount of time.
So in an ideal world, they know exactly what they want. It's perfectly planned out. They've got the budget for it, and you order it 6 months out, and everything works out perfectly.
Yeah, perfect.
But you do this all the time, and so do I, and you know that that's not how it ever works. You know, where there's always things that come up that are last minute changes. Actually, can we do this? And it's the night before and whatever. This song instead, or, that kind of thing. By the way, here's 200 songs this morning of the wedding that I want to hear.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
What do you do when those come up, when there's a last minute change or a crazy,
If I can take care of it, and if I can make it work seamlessly, I just smile and say, yes, of course, we're going to do it. We're going to move this from here to there. We're going to change the other thing and mix that style up. If it's just something that is impossible, then I will be honest about that. Like if we just simply cannot do a thing, then I will just upfront say we cannot do that thing. But more often than not, we can do it. We can take care of it.
Yeah.
I have, you're missing a boutonniere. We brought some extra flowers. We'll make that for you. It's a little harder to change like full centerpieces, but we'll do our best. It's just part of that is having systems in place and planning. So I always order a little extra flowers, just partially because of spoilage and things like that.
Yeah.
But so we always have access to a little extra. And, I have been known to drive to Chicago at 4 a.m. so I can hit the wholesale house and get back home in time to take care of the thing. So, we do our best.
Yes. Yeah, we call it, we're going to make it happen.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Like we're going to figure this out. We always, of course, bring extra music and extra equipment, and, we got to make it happen. This is the day. That's so wild. Yeah. What are some other wild things that you've experienced in your career as
just thinking of making it happen, we did have that where a wedding was supposed to take place at a church in Michigan City, and it was I can't remember if it was like beginnings of COVID and the church all of a sudden had lots of extra rules, and so the couple was like. And this was the morning of the wedding. They said, we're not getting married at the church anymore. We're getting married at the country club. But getting married at the country club meant I needed to bring a big hoop and install stuff on it and just change the whole look.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was some quick running to storage, finding the things, painting, cleaning, putting it on there. And you know what? By wedding time, it was perfect. Wow. We had it all set up at the country club. I wasn't there was a little cursing on my end, not towards the bride and groom, just kind of, I got to get this done.
Private stress cursing.
Yes,
right?
just a little personal under my breath stuff. But it turned out, and it was beautiful. Yeah, and if you weren't part of the conversation, you didn't know anything had changed.
Yeah, this is where it always was supposed to be.
Yeah,
this is how it always supposed to look.
This is what we planned. Yeah,
this was effortless. This was easy.
It was totally effortless.
Oh, this is just something I whipped out real quick. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Well, as a florist, I don't really attend the wedding, so I'm not really there to see the crazy things that happen on wedding, like during the wedding. Sometimes it's just the beforehand.
Yeah.
It's always a little scary when you walk into the bridal suite and there's no music playing and it's just silent. And you're just like, are people mad? Are they happy? Are they sad? What is happening? So you walk in and you're super cheery because you don't know what you're walking into. And I did have one wedding I walked into silent, and the groom was having cold feet. And so it was a long day of everybody talking him through it, talking her through it. And it did happen, but as a florist, I just walk in and I'm like, well, let me give you this beautiful thing. I hope your day is wonderful. But sometimes you have things you didn't plan on. Maybe a big centerpiece got dropped or something fell. I've been really grateful that those types of things have happened before the wedding. I've never had any, you see these terrible videos of like an arch falling over mid-ceremony. Thank goodness I have not had that happen during the ceremony. I have had things happen pre-ceremony, and we just grit our teeth and get out that ladder and move as quick as we can and get it all together, and nobody's the wiser.
Yeah.
So
the weather always doesn't always cooperate, and
it's a lot of pre-ceremony stress.
people use a lot of candles too, and that I've seen that go badly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean,
fire.
I do love fire. It's
beautiful.
So pretty, but it's a little scary. Yeah. I think my best wedding, it actually was my brother's wedding in Florida, and there was a hurricane.
What?
And it shut down like all shipments. So all my flowers that should have come, well, they came through Florida. His was on the coast. All the flowers that should have come never arrived because the hurricane shut everything down. So what we did is we ran to Walmart and we bought everything I could in the colors they wanted, and then we went to a nursery and we bought all the plants and flowers that we could, and we chopped things up and we made, centerpieces, boutonnieres, corsages, all the things. And, it was one of my favorite weddings because you got some really funky stuff in there that I never planned on, and it was great. But it was just last minute, you work with it.
Do you ever get something that's like, this is really rare or very expensive? It's just like people have a very specific taste and they want something just like, I got to tell you, that's going to be hard to get. Or that's going to cost,
Yeah.
That kinda.
One of the few out-of-season things are peonies and lily of the valley. Like, oh, man, girls love peonies. But they just, in the winter, they're just not good. Like, they come from Chile, and they're tiny, and they're kind of ugly, and they cost a ton of money. And I want to promise it, but I don't. Not anymore. I used to, when I was newer at this, I would promise anything.
Sure.
And now I just say, you're not going to love that. But fortunately, I have 3 other options for you, And then, Lily of the Valley is, I have a wedding coming up next year, and they were a little shocked at that price. But it is almost impossible to source anymore, and it's so expensive that you're paying upwards of $200 for 80 stems, and Lily of the Valley is teeny, so you need lots of 200 stems for a bouquet. So I think a lot of it is just educating. Like if I educate my brides, then we can find a happy medium. And if they just say, you know what, we really want this and we're willing to spend it, then I'm going to get it for you.
Sure. Cost is not a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. But more often than not, it is.
We have that too. And there's an education piece to what we do as well, where people want specific songs or they're not aware of an actual event and weddings and how they go and the flow and how they're going to feel when they're out there dancing for 9 minutes alone with their mom or dad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We call it, it's not going to go the way you think. And
Right.
I'm always like, I'm concerned. You're saying you want this, but in my past experience, I'm concerned that what's going to happen is this.
Yeah.
And are you okay with that outcome? If so, yeah, let's do it. We'll do it for you. We'll do whatever you want. We'll play whatever song. You want a 20-minute song with your dad.
Yeah.
It's your wedding.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned that after 2 minutes, you're going to want out of there.
Right.
You know?
You'll feel super awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I do this all the time, I'm going to try to educate and help you.
Yeah.
And or they want something, I'm like, that's going to be expensive or that's just not possible. I don't have that equipment, or your venue has specifically said no smoke cannons or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just not possible given the parameters of what we're working with here.
Right.
With sourcing all this stuff from all over the world, do you ever run into like there's a customs immigration issue? There's like that is banned by the U.S. You can't get that. Like, does it ever come up or?
Yeah, occasionally you get things. So a lot of roses come from Colombia and Ecuador, and they do check the boxes for drugs, like they really do. And so occasionally you will get some boxes that are destroyed, not because like my grower is shady, but because it was among a whole shipment
Customs
of things.
and they're just breaking stuff.
And
just
it's all
looking
gone. Yeah.
It's just there's a loss that comes from that. With
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So you just have to be prepared for that. And there's always a way to substitute or to change the plan. But it does happen more often than we would think. Not so much like insects or anything like that. The farms are very, very careful. But it does tend to be like my shipment got caught up in some type of illegal shipment and it all got destroyed.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's part of it. I'm trying to source a lot more locally. So during the season, which is generally like May through October, I buy as much as I can from local farms. And I find that, for one, it's just a lot more interesting. We get a lot more beautiful flowers that don't last, flowers that don't ship, or flowers that you would pay exorbitant amounts just because they're so special.
Yeah.
And I've got a local farm growing it, so I can give it to my bride. And so that's been super nice, like not having to rely solely on flowers from overseas, and having local stuff has really been, it's been wonderful, like for my brides and for my flowers. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about your role, about what you do? What stuff that you wish couples knew or other vendors knew more about your role and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think what couples should know is that my job is just to kind of bring things together seamlessly. I'm not trying to upsell you. I'm trying to set a stage. So we want things to be beautiful and to frame you out. Like I'm thinking of your pictures. You know, your pictures are going to last and last. So I'm thinking, do you really want a cheesy whatever in your background, or do you want to look at this beautiful thing framing you in all of your pictures? So what I'm thinking of is your future pictures. I'm thinking of what will look beautiful with your dress, with your whole day. So we're trying to put it all together. In terms of vendors, I think locally we all work together really well. I think my main issues sometimes are very young new planners who are trying to set a day of timeline and are trying to dictate things that aren't good for the flowers. So maybe dictating starting pictures at 9 a.m., which is really terrible because that bride's taking her flowers in and out of water, laying it on a table, you know, flinging it here and there, putting it under their armpits so they can tie a shoe. The flowers aren't going to look good at 5 o'clock, you know? So I wish, what I like is when planners specifically, coordinators, let me choose my timeline. Like, I'm going to have everything where you want it when you need it there. So please don't tell me to come at 9 a.m. if the wedding's at 6, because it's not necessary. You know, do you really need to set up as a DJ
No.
at 9? You know,
I try to get there right
Yeah.
when I need to be.
Right.
And then I'm out of there when I'm done,
right,
you know.
right. And part of that, I think, probably on every single podcast you've done,
Yeah.
the vendors are saying, trust us.
Yes.
That is really what I want. If you don't trust me, then please don't hire me. Because my whole job is to make the day beautiful. And so that's it. I don't want to work with vendors I don't trust. And I want my bride to trust me and to trust the team. Because we're all working just for that couple.
That is such great advice. That is so good.
It's just, and let us do our job. You know,
Yeah.
just like you have likes and dislikes, I'm going to take all that into account and do a fantastic product for you.
I want to throw you a great party.
Yeah.
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 Just let me do
Let
that.
me do it. Yeah.
I want to make your wedding beautiful. Just let me do it. You know.
Oh, man. Yeah.
What about couples looking to hire a florist? What's the things should they look for? What things should they avoid?
So
If flowers are important to them. We've already
Yeah,
established that's a
yeah.
priority for them to have a good florist.
yeah, so if it is important, check out their social media. Find the places where they post the most. They post their most recent work, and look at it and think to yourself, do I like it? Like, you don't want to come to me. My work tends to be more wild, a little more free and loose. If you want something tight and round and, you know, ball shaped, you don't want me. Like, that's not the thing I do best. So look at your florist's social media, look at, you know, their website is good, but websites aren't always the most recent stuff. See if you really like their style, if you want the thing that they're selling. And then, yes, budget is going to come into play. But if you talk to me and I'm out of your budget, I know other florists that I trust to give you beautiful work, and I'll send you to them. You know, just trust that we're always working to give you the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really want, same with when I recognized what they want is really what another DJ would be better at.
Yeah.
Or they just don't have the budget for it.
Right.
And I'm like, I think you can get this at another spot, or I want you to have this, and I want you to have a good connection. Sometimes I just don't connect. I don't vibe with that couple, and it doesn't. We're not clicking on every level here. I don't feel like we're going to be best friends after this, you know.
Right.
And so, yeah, I want you to shop around and find somebody that works as a better fit.
Yeah.
You know.
And I would say, at least florist wise, you don't need to speak to 7 different florists. You know, find your top 2, find your top 3, or if you've just found the one you want, just go with them, make your decision, and don't keep looking around. Because the more you look, the less happy you are with your choice. The more you second guess everything you've done. Like, check that box and move on to the next big decision you have to make.
I like that.
Yeah.
If they've already hired a florist, what advice do you give that, how can I make the best out of this experience? Get the best, you know.
Yeah. Well, trust them to work with your budget. Like, I think, at least on my end, I think you get a lot more impact by choosing that one big cool piece rather than having 14 little $20 items spread around, you know. Like, trust them to try to take your budget and work with it to give you the best impact possible. Pinterest does help. I know people love and hate Pinterest, but it helps me because I can say, hey, what do you think of this picture? And they can say, oh, I love it, or oh, I hate it. And it helps me kind of narrow down the scope. So if people just have a couple little pictures that they like, perfect. That's all I need. And then just don't micromanage. You know, if you found the vendor that you want, give them the parameters. For me, it's going to be color, style. I love this flower. I hate that flower. And then let me do my work. You know, the best weddings I've done are the ones where I'm given colors, vibe, and off you go.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my next question is like, what do the best ones have in common, you know?
Yeah, is they're relaxed and they're excited.
Yes.
They're excited for the whole day.
Yes.
You know, I just did a wedding at Sandy Pines, and we did this big, like, installation, and it was pretty grand and crazy. But I think what was so cool was the couple was just excited for every part of the day. And they were choosing things that were a little unusual, and they were choosing their vendors and then saying, here's the brief, now go to town. Make us the coolest thing you can. And it kind of broke my brain a little bit because then I had to source everything, but it was exciting and I was proud of it.
It's a fun challenge.
Yeah.
We had a wedding this weekend where older couple and older guests, and they had a lot of jazz, a lot of disco, a lot of 70s, 60s. I'm telling you, we didn't play anything that was recorded after 1995.
Oh, man.
And I think most DJs would be like, what am I going to do?
Uh-oh.
I was like, challenge accepted, and we threw a great dance party, and everybody was dancing and having a good time. It was so fun to have that parameter of like, we're not going for new stuff. We're not going for the latest and greatest. We don't want country. We don't want hip hop. We want some classic Motown. We want some 70s, some 60s music. And it was really fun.
And they know their friends. Like they know themselves and their friends. So you just make it amazing for them.
Yeah. They just gave us a big list. And then I pulled from that list, but then I pulled a bunch of stuff that wasn't on that list that fit that list.
Yeah.
That was better for what their crowd was responding to. Yeah. And it ended up great. It was so fun. Hit of the night was Madonna's Holiday, which was not on their list.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Brian got out there dancing, everybody's screaming. It was so fun. Yeah. But, it really felt like they knew what they wanted, and they trusted me to do it.
Right.
Sometimes it feels, and maybe you have this too, where it feels like they don't really know what they want, and they don't really trust me, and there's I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, and it's hard to, at least for me, a lot of my couples also have moms and aunts and people with big opinions on the flowers. And so they've got multiple people telling them what'll be ugly, what'll be beautiful. And I just want it to be best for my couple. You know, I know mom got married 40 years ago and
that's
we don't
not what we
do
did.
it. Yeah. Or, you know, the daughter wants all white and mom wants color, or mom wants all white and daughter wants color. It's the daughter's wedding. You know, I'm going to take whatever the daughter wants and I'm going to make it beautiful. So it's a little, and I'm sure it's just hard as a couple to navigate everybody wanting something from you on your wedding day. You know, everybody has an opinion. I hate to say just ignore it, but you kind of have to. You know, it is your celebration. Not in a selfish way. It's just you're the couple. You're getting married.
This is your day.
Yeah.
Eventually, you got to do what you want to do.
Right.
You can't. If you're really going to enjoy it, you got to make it your own. You know.
And you're marrying into two families, so you're going to spend the rest of your life making everyone happy. It'll be just fine.
There'll be other chances.
Right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, every florist I meet and really get to know, they're chill. They're just warm and in a good mood. Is there something in the flowers? And
Maybe.
Is it all the oxygen you're getting, all the beauty you're surrounded by?
Maybe we just hide it really well.
There it is. Yeah.
I think, so I work with my kids a lot. I have my two daughters are just like my right hands, and they help me with everything. And like I said, I do tend to curse. Like just me. Yeah. Just like by myself, I'm cursing at this flower, making it get into the spot it's supposed to get in. And one time I realized that, and I was like, oh, Josie, I'm sorry. Sometimes I curse a little. And she was like, I know, Mama. So I think we just hide it.
Yeah. That's how you manage the stress of the day. You know, it's how you're working through that process. Yeah. It's the little tools that you've developed to help you get through it, you know. And that's the same with, I try to get there early enough where I've got plenty of time if something's not working. Right. I get set up, I call hurry up and wait, and then I disappear. I try to leave. Yeah. Because if you're sitting there and you're around a bunch of stressed out people, they're going to be like, you. Right. Let me stress you out. Let me share this load. I'm like, I'm here to throw a party. I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna go grab a bite.
Yeah, you need a quick breather.
We'll see you, bye. You know, because they're gonna bring it. You know, and I just, there's no use for that. You know, do you have a microphone? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why you hired me. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
When will you you hand it to me? Yes. They want to know about the logistics of the process.
Well, and I try to remember that this is their first wedding. Yeah. Like this is my whatever 100th wedding, but for them, this is their first wedding. And often, for mom or dad, maybe it is their first wedding. They don't have, it's their first kid getting married. So it's all crazy and weird and out of their element. We had a roof put on our house, and I'm telling you, we were all over that. We were just like, we don't know what's going on. Do we give them snacks? Do we put water out? What are we doing? I'm sure we were super annoying, but it's because it was our first and one and only roof we're putting on our house. So we were,
Do we feed them?
I know.
Should we let them outside? Bathroom?
Yeah, I'm sure they were like, back off. We've done this before.
We're good.
But so I try to remember that. Yes, I know what I'm doing, but you have no idea what's going on. But it's hard sometimes.
Well, this has been absolutely outstanding. Thank you so much for coming on. If couples are looking to have the kind of experience that you're talking about that you can provide, what's the best way to reach out and get a hold of you?
Yeah, so on my website, which is sugarfieldflowers.com, there's a little form. You can fill that out and request a meeting. I don't do DMs so much just because there's too much. I can't answer everything.
That's the best way to.
Yeah, so do that or email me, sugarfieldflowers@gmail.com. Those are the best two ways. I did just hear, I think Apple just put out new guidelines for calling people and all that. And Apple says if you get the opportunity to leave a voicemail, don't do it.
Really?
And I kind of agree. Email me. Email me, fill out the form because I just can't keep up.
Yeah, there's too many things to keep.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the best way.
Yep. And having it written down. Yeah. Because you can't remember everything.
That's right. So all the details. You'll come back to it.
Yep.
And yes.
I need it all written down.
That's
that's the best way.
Okay. I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We've
Mike.
loved having you on. Please come back and see us again. And
I'd love to.
So appreciate it. But yeah, this has been the DJ Insider Podcast. I'm Mike with Amplified Events.
And I'm Kris with Sugarfield Flowers.
We will see you at your wedding. Thanks.